one I want to introduce to you today is Martinelli. Joey Martinelli can really show you how his independence has become, because he's not here today. He's on a date with his girlfriend because he met through his self-directed day budget at one of the classes he takes. So the date won out over us. But Ann's going to be here to tell you a little bit about what it is that Joe does and how he's creative with his day service options.
Thanks, Tricia. I'm really happy to be here and share with everyone some of the things that Joe is doing. Joe will be starting the 7th year of his self-directed budget next month, actually. He graduated in 2005. But in 2003, like many of the other families here, we started looking at some of the day programs that were available, and we're not happy with anything that we saw. We did eventually find something. It was a non-traditional day program that would allow Joe to use his budget not for 5 full days a week, but for 2 half days or a full day, and that's what we did start with. When Joe graduated, we did look at that. He did start attending that, and we did use an agency to hire someone to support him, to get him to the day program. The day program at that time did not have transportation for someone who used a wheelchair. That all fell apart really fast. He got to the day program, and within about 6 or 7 weeks, he didn't like it anymore. And we realized we had made a mistake. He told us right out, this isn't working. So we kept the young lady on that we had hired through the agency, and we started looking around with her help for some activities that Joe could do during the day. And we found through our park system a yoga class for people with limited mobility. And he started taking that class. And the young lady that we did hire through the agency was working out very well, but after a few months she did start speaking for my son and started telling us what he didn't like and what he did like. And we did try working with her and referring back to the Essential Lifestyle Plan and telling her that this is a person-centered process and this is about what Joe likes. And eventually we did have to let her go. So within 7 months of starting, after having everything in place, after doing all the planning, after 7 months, we were starting all over again. And it was very discouraging. But we did realize if we did put it together once, we could put it together again. So there was some time where Joe was home. I would say probably about 4 to 6 weeks. He was home with me while we were trying to figure this all out. And then our next step was using part of his budget to hire an agency to do some job development. And they found, my husband at the time was working in Manhattan in an office at a bank, and Joe had always enjoyed going into the office with Dad, so he expressed an interest in working in an office. So this agency was able to develop a volunteer position for him in an office where he's working in a resource room. He's doing some shredding and some labeling. He does use an environmental control unit hooked up to the shredder to do shredding. And he's actually still there. He started there in 2006. He does still go there once a week. And the young lady, we also used the same agency that did the job development. They had staff that you could hire. We did hire someone from them. That agency within a year stopped providing one-on-one support staff. So she was let go from that agency. We hired her as a self-hire, and from her is how we have found our other self-hires. We have 5 part-time self-hired staff for Joe right now. And what has really worked for us is that none of these people had ever worked with someone with a developmental disability before. We trained them on what needed to be done as far as doing wheelchair tie-downs, as far as helping Joe get dressed, as far as helping get his jacket on and off. When Joe needs assistance, when he's out to eat, you know, cutting the food in the right size pieces, we did all that. And the biggest hurdle for me as a parent was letting go and letting his support staff give me their ideas, let them be creative. I realized that it wasn't all about me. It wasn't what I wanted for Joe. It wasn't having everyone do exactly everything the exact same way that I did it. That didn't work. Listening to the support staff, listening to their creative ideas, because they saw my son in a completely different way than I have always seen him. I've always supported Joe in everything that he wanted to do, in getting out and going to the places that he wanted to, but I always saw limitations because he uses a wheelchair. I always thought things have to be a certain way for us to get to where we're going to go. And the support staff has taught me that he has no limitations. If Joe wants to go somewhere, they're going to figure out a way how to get him there and how to do what they want to do. It's non-traditional thinking. It has taught us so much. Person-centered thinking, taking a person-centered class. I think someone down at the other table mentioned taking person-centered thinking classes and essential lifestyle planning classes. That helped me tremendously. I will still refer back to the notes that I took from the person-centered thinking class that I took in 2006. When I find myself sometimes getting a little panicked about something that Joe wants to do, I will go back to those notes and look, and it will help pull me back into helping him achieve the things that he wants to do. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the things that he has done, that he does do during the week. He still does have that volunteer position at that office. He does go there 1 day a week. He's there for about 4 hours, and he has made friends in this office. The relationships that he has developed, the natural supports that he has developed at this agency are phenomenal. He's friends on Facebook with his boss. She goes out to dinner with him usually once a month. She'll text him, she'll call him up just to check in. If he doesn't make it there 1 week because he's figured out something else to do on that day, she'll text him and check in and see what's going on. But I want to tell you a little bit about some of the things that he does. And we are very flexible. Like I said, we have 5 support staff for Joe, and the support staff is very flexible. We have one fellow who works, only works with Joe 4 hours a week, but he could do either Monday or Tuesday. And then we have another fellow who works later on a Monday. So if the first fellow works on the Tuesday, the other fellow moves his hours up. So we're flexible that way. On Mondays, Mondays or Tuesdays, Joe volunteers at an assisted living facility. He plays bingo and Pekino with the people that live at the assisted living facility. And that was created by one of the support staff. They were driving past one day and saw it, and they said it looked like the architecture looked beautiful. They just stopped, parked, went in, and said, "We're here as a team. Can we help? What do you need help with?" And they pulled in the recreation director. She said, "We could always use help with bingo and Pekino." And that's where he's been there since 2006. He hangs out with these people. When he sees them out and about in the community, you know, they're all yelling, "Hey Joe, what are you doing out here today?" They're so happy to see him. He did develop a very special relationship with a gentleman who was in his 80s. And Joe likes to go to the racetrack in Monmouth. We live in Monmouth County, likes to go to Monmouth Park. And in talking about this, this gentleman, he found out this gentleman was a trainer of thoroughbred horses in his younger years. So they had a connection there. They were able to talk about horses. And as this gentleman became more ill, he was unable to come down and play Pekino and bingo with the group. And Joe and his support person, Chris, would go up and visit him in his room and just bring him ice cream and just sit with him and talk to him. And this gentleman did pass away during the winter. And Joe was able to communicate with this man's family. You know, we were able to send him a sympathy card. This family had known about Joe, so he was able to make these community connections with people just based around a common interest. And he still is there. He's still there on Mondays or Tuesdays. On Monday evenings, late afternoon Monday evenings, Joe will go out with Ben, and they'll either walk on the boardwalk or they'll do an indoor track, just some physical things. On Tuesdays, it depends on the season. During the fall and spring, Joe takes classes at Brookdale Community College. They offer adults with developmental disabilities. But on Tuesdays during the summertime, like right now, he is using his Optimum Rewards card to get into Clearview Cinemas for free. He and his support staff go to movies every Tuesday for free. On Wednesday, it's usually, he does errands. If he needs to get his hair cut, if he needs to do some shopping for personal items, or I'll give him a grocery list and they'll do some things. They also attend a lot of games. We live near Brookdale Community College, Monmouth University, and he'll go to different basketball, football, and baseball games. On Thursdays, one of the young ladies that has supported Joe, the one that had been with the agency, and then we have her as a self-hire. When she first started working with Joe, she had recently graduated from Monmouth University, and she brought Joe back to the university one day to meet some of the professors that she had had, and one of them was her communications professor. He runs the radio station at Monmouth University, and he and Joe just hit it off, just by chance. They're both baseball fans. Joe's a Yankee fan. The professor is a Boston Red Sox fan, so they had a lot to talk about. And they hit it off, and the professor invited Joe to sit in the radio booth with them. That was in 2007, early 2007. Joe does a 2-hour radio show every Thursday morning during the school semester, so it's September to December, and then January through May. He's on the air. I watch him online. They have a webcam in there. It's amazing to just watch him. And on Fridays, he volunteers at the office that I told you about, using his environmental control unit to do some shredding. On Saturdays, it's a lot of fun stuff. He'll do 5Ks. He scouts out the local 5Ks. He volunteered for the Salvation Army during the holiday season from Thanksgiving to Christmas time. He did that every Saturday for 2 hours on Saturdays. So he's got a life that he has created. We support him in what he wants to do, in figuring out what he wants to do. Yesterday he played tennis with one of his support staff and the young lady that he's with today. They went out to a local high school tennis court, and his support staff helped him hold the racket, and the other young lady, they had a tennis game. Today he's at the movies with her. She also has an Optimum's reward card, so everybody gets in the movie for free with their Optimum's reward card. So he's learning how to navigate different things in the community that he's going to need, you know, if he chooses to live independently as he grows older. Spending money, using a debit card, all those things that all of us do, he's learning how to do those things too. I'm really quite proud of him and the life that he's created for himself. He's an amazing young man. Thank you.